Made by music enthusiasts, for music enthusiasts. This is the Anva He-Meant Company Music Podcast.
Right. Man, you know what? Before we started recording, actually on my drive back home, I was going to ask, as far as production, is there really a significant difference between composing and producing? Or because my understanding would be like a composer is more, I guess, instrumentally thorough, but doesn't really play all the stuff, as opposed to producers who can actually play multiple instruments and, you know, get their point across in that regard, rather than it being seen on a staff. I don't know.
So the producer's job is to be the catalyst to put the song together. A true producer is supposed to be the one that makes sure the glue, the puzzle is glued together properly. So when we're talking about a producer versus like a composer or beat maker or anything like that, so a composer could be just simply somebody that like writes music or plays music or something like that. Doesn't necessarily mean the one that finishes off producing it and bringing home the vision of the song or what's going on with the album or the record or whatever's going on. So me and KP were talking about earlier is like a lot of times production is not only just musical elements, it's also the melodies, it's also how the vocals are sung and how the vocals are produced. That's why Jam and Lewis, and this is not to get off a topic or go all around the bend, but what made Jam and Lewis work so well is because they had roles within the production team. You don't got that anymore. Sometimes you got a dude that's a producer that quote unquote makes the beat per se, that gets the credit for the production, but necessarily didn't do all the things or majority of the things that brought the production together. So a lot of times like these titles and these roles in today's world are not, they don't match up with back in the day.
Yeah, the lines get blurred.
You know, and the great thing about Jam and Lewis is like Jimmy Jam will tell you, he was the catapult for the programming, keyboard work, arranging some of the musical elements, doing a lot of the musical things. He was accompanied by Terry Lewis to some extent to that, but Terry Lewis handled a lot of the vocal production. He handled a lot of the melodies. He handled a lot of the lyrics being written and things of that nature. And it just works so well together, and we don't have that anymore. Sometimes we, you know, if you're what I would consider myself a true producer, sometimes I have to outsource certain people to help me finish that production because some people do things better than I do. I'm a melody guy. I'm not a vocal producer per se. I know what needs to sound right, and I will correct if it needs to be corrected, especially lead-wise, like energy, approach, delivery. Oh, I can do all that. But writing lyrics and pure vocal production are not my strong suits in a producer's world. So sometimes you have to get the best out of a record, you have to bring people that you trust in that can finish those things with you or finish those things off for you. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the producer is going to make sure that those things get accomplished. He's the one that the artist is supposed to trust, the label is supposed to trust, the team is supposed to trust to make sure that the full potential of this record is done and be the honest critic of the record. If the record's not 100%, we're not releasing it. Period. That is really and truly his or her job. You know?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Go ahead, KP. I need KP to chime in.
No, like we had that full conversation. I agree, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Darkchild. Who was it? I know y'all probably seen the clip where he was saying like, it gets split up so many different ways because you're sending it off. Like he was like, that's the worst thing that ever happened was being able to send files off. So it's like you send a whole song. They love the song, but you don't know what's happening after you send it off, and then it's a piece here, somebody doing this here, and then you come back and you only getting 15% or 20% of a song because they didn't chopped it up and gave pieces away. So yeah, it really takes away, and it makes the lines, like you said, Ashton, blurry because it's like, okay, like.
Right.
what is it? And then like you said, like with the producing and composing and the difference or whatever, like to me, I feel like composers for some reason, I don't know, maybe I don't know the right technical terms because I would call them, like when I think of composers, automatically my mind goes to like Beethoven or Art Tatum or something like that, right? People who actually like played music, wrote music, they composed pieces, whereas like when you think about like beat makers and stuff, a lot of them don't even play no damn instruments. They tinkering on the keyboard. I mean, not the keyboard on the laptop or a MIDI board or something. MPC and making beats, so they don't even know how to play a real instrument.
Yeah.
So then you get what I'm saying, like, and it's and no shade at all, but like you saying, like you're trying to like differentiate what is what and who is who.
100% KP
and whatever. And it's like, okay, so because they did this, does that make them now the producer of the song, or are they just a beat maker? Now we know our favorites. Terrence Martin, he disagrees. He thinks that the beat maker is the producer.
So piggyback off
what subjective.
What to piggyback off of what Terrence is saying, I do agree with him for the most part from a standpoint of the creativity of the song. I look at producer as the supervisor of the records. Like
that's not what Terrence said though. No, Terrence said that the producer, that he felt like the beat maker, like you just doing the beat, however you do the beat, was the producer, not the one who like does the shebang, like, you know, like Dark Child and shit, Big Shit and all of them. Like no.
Okay, so I agree with him, but
okay,
I agree with him. The thing though is. The thing you gotta watch out for when it comes to just somebody is strictly just making a beat is there an idea that is created, just like a songwriter? Is there ideas being created? Is there somebody taking the mantle? If that producer, which we do live in a time frame right now, it is kind of straightforward. If that producer sends you a beat and says, write to this, you know, whatever the case may be, hit or not. For the most part, if it doesn't change it at all, what he's saying is kind of true to that standpoint. Now, to me, I still feel like a producer has his hands in the whole record as a whole. That's why I feel like producers need to be in these sessions with these artists to help them get their full potential out. A true producer is doing all that.
Yeah.
A true producer is doing all that. I'm sorry.
So then, if you're not a true producer, then what are you? A beat maker? Because like some people, like I think now most people aren't, especially independent artists. Like so for us, like we're thinking major labels, Terry Lewis, all of them people, Dark Child. You're in the big studios, y'all all together, y'all flying out to each other places. We in 2026 where you could be in Germany and I could be here and you just send the music and then I'm doing all my own vocal production and whatever and then send, you know what I'm saying? And now we have a song, boom, bam. There's no, you get what I'm saying? Like there's really not much.
I think
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think what should be done. Actually, I witnessed this. I was out in LA visiting a friend of mine, Jeremiah Napier, who's a producer and bass player himself, and actually, him and the songwriter, like for about 2 or 3 songs, they were on a Zoom call. I think that producer was in Atlanta, and so they were on Zoom, just them not exchanging ideas, but like him guiding through, some stuff that like some intricate parts and ideas to add. I think that's what if you're gonna do something like not even sending files, I think that's probably better. Like if I'm on the phone with you or you're on the phone with me, and I can actually, even if we're not in the same vicinity, I can still see and hear what you're playing and what you're adding on in real time. I think that's brilliant to me. I mean, if I'm ever in that position to where a musician or a singer can't get to the session, to the studio where I am, I'm going to say, hey, call me or let's get on Zoom and let's actually see this stuff rather than sending files back and forth.
Isn't there some kind of, because I know Kenyon Dixon does this as well with his producers and different things. They don't live and they get on. Oh yes, with Curtis, who mixes all of his things. Like he'll get on some kind of
software,
call software where they can listen together, and he can be in there real time while he's mixing the stuff. And
it's a plug-in. Yeah, it's a plug-in where, and I haven't even really used it, but I got hip to it a few years ago.
This was a couple years ago on Kenyon's Live. They were mixing live, but Curtis,
they were all in different places. It's a particular plug-in that you can dial in where you're at and be a part of the session in real time. I think that's genius. You can record. Ashton can record his drums in Lorraine, and whoever's producing the record or helping produce it could be in LA. And as long as he has the right hookup and it's all in sync, he can record the drums, and he can be on his headphones, and old dude can dial in and say, "Hey, can you record that one more time? Something went wrong," or whatever the case may be, and he can record from LA.
Yeah, I think it's just like the evolution of technology and everything. It's all included in it, you know. It's just all included, which I think blurs lines for people who are older. Because I don't think the younger generation will have the same conversation as what we're having, but we were around when it was much different. Well, now we are the ones who have to live in the middle. Like, we've seen the previous, and now we're seeing the future and what has happened, and we're still young enough to kind of like, you know what I'm saying, get with it all. Like, we're the only generation, I feel like, the millennials to actually be able to experience life before technology and then life as it's happening and going on.
Sure.
And being a part of it in a major way. And that makes it hard. That does make it hard.
Well, let me clean up just what we were talking about a second ago about the producer title and who's really the producer, who's the beat maker, who's this, that, and the third. In today's world, we kind of have to use titles a different way because of how things are being done, just like you said, KP, and people's roles. So in response to Terrence's definition, he is right, and I do agree with him. But what we have to do sometimes is if people are not having their hands completely in the pot, and there's certain pieces being pieced together, then those people do have to take credit for their contribution. Meaning that a lot of times you're finding producers or beat makers outsourcing vocal producers to come in to help produce the vocals, and that is a form of them being a producer on the record. So not only does the beat maker get a production credit, the KP, if you're the vocal producer, you get a producer credit. If there is somebody coming in to do co-production, meaning that they're adding elements to what's going on, they get a production credit. And sometimes when you go to Spotify or these different things and these liner notes, you'll see there's 3 or 4 producers. Am I a big fan of that? That's another episode, and we can get into that at another time. From a producer standpoint, we got too many hands in the pot. The record doesn't have. Go ahead, yeah.
We need to get FC on here.
Definitely get FC.
Fred Council,
for that conversation.
Oh man, we got to get Fred on here. Oh, he gonna agree with me on this. But oh man,
when we have that conversation, we need to have Fred.
But I'm gonna tell you this: I am an advocate for people getting credit for their contribution, though. If they see, and it's another slippery slope too that we can get into at another time, maybe with Fred, when it comes to the credit that people get on records. And that could be a whole episode. The songwriter, the producer, the co-producer, the vocal producer, the whole 9 yards. But if Ashton, I know he's going to agree with me on this, as somebody that's been a session musician before, just not the producer, just coming in and making a contribution on an instrument. If you tell me, oh, just do what you feel, I'm technically a producer. How they get away with it, if it's from a technical standpoint, a business standpoint, is if they have me sign a piece of paper that says I'm a work for hire, that means that I'm taking away the fact that I get producer credit or any sort of royalties or anything. I only get my session fee or whatever the case may be, but they're taking credit for what ideas I came up with. Now, if they don't have me sign a piece of paper or don't have any sort of agreement laid out and say, oh, come in and play bass or come and play drums, play how you feel, play this rhythm how you feel, I'm going to leave it up to you. Play this line how you feel. Technically speaking, I was a producer on this record. That's another episode. That's another episode.
Right. I was about to say that's a whole another episode because then that's that's the whole conversation about, knowing your worth and knowing your business and knowing your things because if you got me signing a work for hire paper, then nigga, I need you to know what it is you want me to do so I can do exactly what you want me to do.
That's it, KP. Talk about it. Talk about it.
Let's talk about some. Do what you feel. No, I'm not doing what I feel because then you're gonna pay me producer credit. But see, then you got a lot of niggas who just want the check at the time.
Talk about it, KP.
About the long game.
Right. Now you're getting into some things. Now you even. Yeah, go ahead.
Even in this, man, I feel this to piggyback off of what you said, Marlo. If you go to a studio session, if you're not given sheet music or a reference track beforehand, you should technically get producer credit because you didn't know what you were going to do beforehand. Yep. So if you're just making it up on the fly, that's production to me. So.
I think when you look at jazz records and credits, that's why it's so different for them. Like you look at Robert Glasper credits and Terrence Martin and even they're getting their credit because they're all on there playing their thing. Like it ain't, you get what I'm saying? Like it's just, I don't know if that's like a gospel or R&B thing. I'm not sure what it is.
KP, a true producer wants to be able to get out of their brain and put it on wax and have somebody help accomplish that at a high level. And so you guys are all 100% correct. If you're coming in the studio and it's like, just do as you feel, I'm just going to lay back and record, or you want to hit the record button. No, we need to have a different discussion. I came in here for you. That's why I tell it's strictly on bass as a professional session bass player. That's why I want you to tell me what to play. If I add a little lick here and there, that's just me being me. But if I come in here and this beat was originally a reggae beat and now Ashton's doing bossa nova, we need to have a different discussion. Because if he's saying, I think this is just track, I hear bossa nova through the whole track, and you didn't come up with that, he needs to be a producer on the record. Because now he done switched the whole genre of the song. Because it was supposed to be reggae, and now he's doing bossa nova.
That's different. Yeah. I do have it now. I was literally at work, and I don't know why I thought of this. I think who was I listening to? I might have been listening to Robert Glasper or something. And talking about this whole producer credit and things like that, I was thinking, them niggas, they will come up with a band so fast, make one album and never do it again. And I'm thinking okay, so is this part? So you think about Dinner Party, you think about R&R equals. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
They came out with one album.
One.
You think about August Green.
Oh.
What? I
forgot about August Green.
That's what I'm saying. So my thing is this so that everyone could get what they need to get from it, monetarily, or what? Because I feel like a lot of jazz people do that. They just collaborate and then they become this band, but it's not really a band because y'all ain't gonna never hear from us again after this particular album.
It could work just like they did with the singers, with Tank and Genuine and Tyrese.
Well, that was different. Tank, Genuine, and Tyrese. That was all because they all had egos. And the shit.
Well, no.
Because they really could have came out with more, but Tyrese didn't know how to be a background singer, and
what I'm saying is, I think they all realize, even with that, we're probably not going to be making 5 or 6 albums, but we could make a couple. And the thing is, sometimes there is strategy to collaboration. So it is. I think there's collaboration for reasons. I think it's monetarily. I think it's to be able to gain some traction. Individually as individual artists or musicians or producers. So yeah, I do think sometimes It is for a purpose of some extent, and sometimes
like legally. You get what I'm saying? Like we need to make this a band on paper, but the thing I was thinking was it's like primarily like actual musicians, like instrumentation, not singing and stuff. Like TGT, like I felt like they all came together at a time where none of them were really, really, really on top. You get what I'm saying?
right.
And then when they did that, like it kind of like brought them all back to life, and it was an amazing album, amazing whatever. But like I feel like Robert and them, they do it for like paper purposes. You feel me? Like we all can get whatever because we're technically a band. Like you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like. Does that make sense? Like, cause I was really thinking that earlier. Like, I wonder why they do that.
Yeah, sometimes
it's get Robert on the show one day, and I'm gonna ask.
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask Fred about that too, cause he may know, like some, he may know a little bit about that as well, cause that's just interesting. Like, have any of y'all ever thought about that? Like,
well, this could be this. So back in the day, in like the 50s and the 60s, I would even say even maybe the 40s too, but I know for sure like the 50s and the 60s, there were a lot of artists and creatives that would do records and do albums and stuff like that, and they would it wouldn't be a group's name or anything like that per se. It would be this artist featuring this artist, and it'd be the whole album. And it was just, it was just an idea to collaborate. So collaboration has really been a thing for the past 10 decades, honestly. So what we're talking about is just a modern version of that to some extent, whether it be vocalists or musicians. So, it's just something to think about. I mean, the idea had to come from somewhere. And then, Motown did it a lot. They did Temptations featuring the Supremes, and they did like, jazz artists would do like Miles Davis.
It's like the biggest thing in jazz. Like you could be a solo artist and a side man for all that. Because like Herbie, he was still putting out his own stuff while still playing with Miles. Like the album Wandishi and Fat Albert Rotunda, like all the stuff before Headhunters and Rocket came out, and even Chick Corea as well. Albums like Now He Sings, Now He Sobs, and Tones for Jones Bones. He was playing with Miles when those albums came out. So yeah, I mean, but that's beautiful, and I wish that would be a thing to behold if gospel artists did that. So let's just say Kiera shared the singing background for like Tamla Mann or something like that, or Micah Stamp. Oh, this actually happened one time. Micah Stampley singing background for Martha Munizzi, and so that would actually. I think the gospel music market would skyrocket if that ever happened. Because somebody might be a fan of Tamla Mann but not Kiki Sheard, or vice versa. But just because Kiki Sheard sang on this, now I'm buying the Tamla Mann album or downloading it. So that's one way to look at it.
One of the most humbling things that was going on in the late 80s, and KP, you might know about this, heard the stories or saw footage, but why in her early prime, why was Whitney Houston singing backgrounds for BB and CeCe Winans?
For the BB and CeCe.
And she did.
She did it
willingly. When she had a #1 album, she was still singing background.
She was #1 on the charts.
She was #1 and was still singing until she just could not do it anymore.
Right. Watch this. Fun fact. There's footage on YouTube. I think it's still there. CeCe Winans, if I'm not mistaken, was pregnant or something, or sick or pregnant or something, and couldn't make a show. And Whitney Houston stepped in and was singing with BB. One of the biggest pop stars. Was like, oh, I'm not busy tonight. I'll come and fill in for CeCe. It's dope, man.
It's dope, but you also gotta remember too, like the connection. Like they were like family.
Yep.
Like you get what I'm saying. So, I mean, understandable too, in the sense of how Whitney grew up. I mean, look at her mama. Look at So I mean, but still, what you said. Like, how dope is that? Like, you're not gonna see that now.
Not like.
Like you're not going to see that now.
The only person that would do something maybe not that dramatic would probably be Beyonce. Like if like let's say like Kelly or Michelle had something going on. Well, no. Hear me out. Hear me out. I have an example. Let's just say like Beyonce's featured on a song or something, and this is the closest thing it'd probably be. Let's see Beyonce's featured on a Michelle Williams song like she's been in the past. If she's not busy and she's in town, she might show up and like sing her part or like come and like to the show and be a part of it, and it won't be a big spectacle because guess what she did at her peak? She was on those Stella Awards.
Yeah.
Beyonce on the Stella Awards. Like, let's be real. Let's keep it real.
No, a couple times, because
that's one of my favorite performances too.
That joke was hilarious, by the way. That joke was hilarious, by the way. How she was moving, how Beyonce was moving on stage, like.
Well, you got to think that had already happened with Destiny's Child. I think they were on the Stellars one time, and they because I know on the Survivor album. They saying "Lord, I'm available to you." That was on the Survival album.
Oh yeah.
Survivor album. Yeah. So I thought that was dope.
Matthew knows he's had him working. Go ahead.
Didn't he? I think you're just really not gonna see that now. And I think too, when you're talking about like Whitney and BB and Cece, like it was just like I don't know. It was like she probably wasn't even getting paid for it. You get what I'm saying? No. That kind of vibe. That's the feel. You're not gonna get that now. Like even if Beyonce came on the Stellar Awards, you can best believe that woman was getting a check, they didn't even have a conversation about it. All that went through management and whatever else, but she would not have stepped foot on that stage if the proper funds wasn't available. We're talking about genuine connections, which again, that is very prevalent in the jazz community. That's what I'm saying. Like you see Robert and all them, and they be with any and everybody hanging, like him and Bilal, 20, 30 years of friendship, just showing up at shows and doing all kinds of things. That kind of community, like they're like one of the only communities I could think of that do that kind of stuff. Like the gospel community is not doing that.
No,
not at all. R&B community is not doing that either.
Not at all.
No other community I think does that.
Well, Samote, he's saying back on. I mean, it was just for Tiny Desk, but he's saying background for Big Sean on Tiny Desk, and I think who was it that same background on Charlie Wilson's Tiny Desk? Tank. So I mean, but so you do kind of see that every now and again.
Tank started off as a background singer, so I'm not shocked. And he also sang background for Babyface's Tiny Desk as well. Yeah. Him, Shantae Moore, and Avery Wilson. Yeah. Okay. So that's not shocking to me because Tank will always Tank knows that he started off as background and don't mind singing background. And that's when you start talking about TGT, and they've had those interviews before, and he was like, I started off as background, so I don't have no problem being in somebody's shadow or being in the background. Tyrese was a star, started off as a star, and didn't know how to put himself in the back.
Yeah, Genuine star too. Yeah.
And the same with Genuine. He was like, them two niggas did not know how to be in the background. I'm never shocked when I see Tank in the background.
But you know what? It goes. Sometimes we have to give credit to and this is the Whitney goes back to the Whitney thing too. Tank, Whitney, all of them. It goes back to the church. See, when you in church, you playing instruments and singing in choirs and ensembles, you have a sense of humility from a background standpoint. That's why Whitney. I think I remember the story was Whitney had hit them up one day. They were already friends. They were already, friends in the industry. And she's like, I want to come hang out with you guys. I want to come and sing backgrounds and be in your music videos and just be with you guys because I love you guys so much. You guys are my family. It was just that. It had nothing to do with money. It had nothing to do with trying to be seen. It's just like, hey, I'm who I am. And it was almost a sense of giving back in a sense because she's singing gospel music. Yeah, she's singing gospel music. Those are her roots. That's what she grew up singing initially, and who she became. She went from the church house to the club overnight. Literally, she went from the choir to the bar stage overnight. And then Clive Davis scooped her up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, because she was, I mean, her mama was doing the same thing. They was going to church, and then her mama was singing background for Aretha Franklin and everybody else.
Sing back.
Like, that she grew up in that life. Dionne Warwick, all of them.
All of them, yeah.
Like, so that, I mean, Community, back then, it was all about Community. And you talk about Motown, that was their whole vibe. Everybody was singing for everybody, and everybody was switching groups like you switched underwear. Like, he was moving people around. Like it wasn't nobody's business or whatever, and it was just like, you know, you did what worked and what was needed at the time, and I think that's why they still are considered one of the greatest labels and whatever to exist, because he just worked that thing so incredibly well. But that does lack. Oh, sorry, Ashton, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, for any aspiring label people, that does kind of give a blueprint on the best way to do it, like to keep all the money and production in house. I mean, even though kind of in a way you don't want to stifle anybody's creativity, especially if it's not within the confines of what that label represents, you know. But I mean, just as a way of, you know, not having to hire any outside work. I mean, if you're not looking to hire any outside work and you have like literally committed people who just see the vision, but that is kind of,
wouldn't that be dope in 2026 to have a label, to have like something based out of like Motown's whole kind of like system, like to see what that would look like.
Yeah, and then all the artists going on tour together as well too. So
I mean, that was fire. But imagine it being like you said, you don't want to stifle somebody's creativity, but like imagine it was like for everything. So there was jazz, there was hip hop, there was R&B, there was like all these things on a label or whatever. And so everyone is like getting a piece of something that they enjoy or whatever, you get what I'm saying, or can work with or whatever, but it's all in-house. That's fire. Let me start a label. Let me win a lottery.
You know what's so funny? I think the day and time we live in, KP, I
ain't gonna say nothing, but there'll be signs.
There'll be signs.
KP,
I think there's some creativity that can be had in the music industry right now that would birth some sort of collective. That you
start an independent label. Let's do it, all three of us.
You may not. I was gonna say, you may not even have to call it a label. It could be like a collective, because to me, a collective is an understanding of what roles everybody brings to the table, and we're collectively piecing this thing together, and we're all kind of partners in this thing. And I actually had an idea for something when it comes to like the way the world works, and you know, the uprise of streaming and stuff like that. There's some things that can be done that could possibly be lucrative, because people will argue, and it is a legit controversy right now with artists making money in the industry right now, and we gotta stop streaming our records. No, that's going backwards. But what we can do is we can figure out ways to manipulate the system. And it's funny because I wish that a music savant would come along and fight for musicians to get better wages when it comes to streaming records and stuff like that. But there are some things that can be done that are not being done right now. And I'm looking at the streaming era as a way to really capitalize and have musicians and artists make some money. I really see it, man. That'd
be so great if people could have the mind of like partnership and like everything right now is so singular. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your Instagram is your fan base, that you are a star. Like, in your own little, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is no camaraderie in anything anymore in community and all that. But like what you said, like a collective would be so dope, because everybody has their strengths. Like, I have the strength of connection. That is a gift that the Lord has given me. I connect people. Like, I connect people, and people will say yes to me. And then I can introduce. I love doing that. Like, that brings me so much joy. That is just a gift that I have. And so, I don't know. I'm all for it. Like, I'm all for whatever will push music in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? push music, artists, musicians, creatives in any capacity, because I'm not a musician and I'm definitely not an artist, but I am highly musically intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like I have my own space in this community. And I just wish everyone could I wish we could just be better. Like, if it wasn't so much crabs in a barrel kind of situation. Like,
yeah, and the problem is, I think, well, if there is any camaraderie in the business, it's like everybody who's on top of the food chain, and that's pretty shocking and a shame, you know, because it's especially on the bottom of the barrel, crabs in the barrel, like everybody just you know, fighting to get over on one another. Like, come on now.
It's sad, especially what we see, you know, growing up in the church and just watching the gospel industry and the different things like that. It's just, it's hard to watch, you know. It's icky. And so I wish that there was a better way. But, like, listen, you never know. This could be the starting point for something great.
Oh, for sure, yes.
I'm always down, you know, to push something.
Sure.
To put like, imagine having like a whole thing of like producers here, like, oh, that is so fire. Like, I always said, man, I was born in the wrong time, because I should have been in Detroit. I should have been at the hit factory, the Hitsville. Like, listen, what? I should have been there.
Oh yeah.
That is, I feel like, how come more people haven't tried that? It worked so well, and nobody else has tried to model it.
I'll say
but
this.
Maybe it was greed.
Greed and trust issues. Like a lot of people think trust issues. I think that's major.
That makes sense. But like, you know, nowadays, I mean, you could still do it with all the right proper legal things, you know, that people didn't have back then. But like, I just feel like the overall model worked so well. Like the control team, that's what I would be on. Like, sit me in that room and say, if you had your last dollar, would you buy this record? No.
Or a sandwich.
I'm buying my sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is missing in today's music.
It's missing.
Independent and major.
We
need to know, would you buy Jimmy John's sandwich or would you buy this album?
I'm buying Jimmy John's sandwich.
Period. Extra ranch. Because what? No. That is missing.
I listen to new music on a popular playlist, like on Spotify, every single week. And when I'm going through these songs, as a producer and a writer, your mind is just different. Or even a singer or musician, we're kind of like all in the same boat when it comes to creativity, music wise. And when you're listening to some of these songs, it's like your melodies are good, but the lyrics are trash, and then like your beat or your track does not sound good at all. But there's like one thing working in the song. So if that one thing had a couple other things working in the song, it would actually be a good song.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, it's not even about your...
I mean, that type of music is for people who don't get it. I'll say that. That's
what we talked about earlier, Marla. What we said, the popcorn music, did we say, like, that's that kind of music that Mos Def was talking about, and people got pissed off when they was talking about Drake. And I love Drake, but I understand the commercial behind Drake. I understand that, like Mos Def said, that you walk around Target and listen to his music. Yes, you can't play no Mos Def album in Target. Like, you just can't. Like,
or the elevator.
You talk about, you get what I'm saying? Or the elevator, right? Like, people get upset, but that be the truth. Like, it literally caters to people who are not musically inclined at all and they're just, you get what I'm saying? Like, there are two different categories of people. People who just listen to music. And what would you say the other one would
people
be?
Who dissect it, like, actually knows what's going on.
Huh? Come on, somebody.
One thing I do like when I'm giving music, when I'm putting music out in the atmosphere, like for review, I like people's feedback that have different perspectives. I like a creative, whether you're a writer or producer's perspective. I like a musician's perspective. That all kind of falls in the same category. But I also like the fan's perspective. So maybe a cousin or sister or a friend give me honest truth from a fan's perspective.
Honest criticism.
I love that because they're not musically inclined like me, so they're going to give me a different type of energy when it comes to, give me a review of what I did or how this song came together. The consumer and the fan's perspective is just as important as a creator's perspective. Sometimes us creators are like, our opinion matters more than anything because we're creating the music. No, because the consumer is the one who's going to keep playing it over and over again. Us creatives are going to be done with it after we're done making it.
And probably never listen to it again. Yeah, like you said, yeah. Like, for real. Like, yeah, man, it's so layered. Like, this stuff is just so layered and just so, I don't know. Like, but like you said, like, man, I feel like it's just more we could do. Like you said, come up with something that makes the streaming profitable for actual artists in a way that works.
The honest truth is, I'll give this example. How is it that Kai Cenat and all these different people are making millions upon millions of dollars a month streaming from their house, but musicians have to fight to make money streaming songs that are being played sometimes every few seconds? It's only one. There's one dynamic that's the issue. It's the distributor of the streaming itself.
I was just about to say, it's who's running the thing.
That's all it is. And for the longest, there was things that were being told to me over the years, like, oh, but they're not really making, as much money as you think they are. Dismiss me with that. No, there's a whole game being played, and there just needs to be laws and protection in place so that it could be fairly divvied out. Because how is it that you could be a multimillionaire on these streaming forums as a streamer or a content creator, just as as a YouTube or Twitch and all these things, but a musician is getting not even a penny per song? It's something weird. So it just has to be corrected. That's all it really has to be. But until that happens, we have to find ways to be creative. We can't mope around and be like, just sell your own music. This is not the back in the days no more. You can't do
1979
that. We're not going back to 1979. That's not happening.